All right, everyone. Is it sad that I feel a little bit sorry for Joe Biden at the moment? Because I really do. It's an impossible tightrope walk that he's currently managing with the student protests, the Gaza and Israel sort of thing. And campus protests are breaking out. Some of them are being broken up. Some of them are violent. Some of them are non-violent. You have counter demonstrations by Jewish students and their backers. And it's a little bit of a chaotic situation, but I almost have to feel sorry for Joe Biden. Because even if his administration was good at messaging, and even if the people that were running it were intelligent, which they're clearly not, so don't think I'm feeling too sorry for these morons. Part of it is self-inflicted, you will see. I still have to feel a little bit of sympathy, because I'm not sure that anyone would be able to walk the impossible political tightrope that Joe Biden has to navigate. And keep in mind, he has trouble walking anyway, so this is a precarious situation, and they've got like double safety nets down below this particular circus act. It's not possible really to address the situation on a centralized level at all, because you're automatically going to alienate people. The hardline left that Joe Biden needs in order to be reelected, the youth far left vote, which the Democratic Party has, again, self-inflictingly wined and dined now for decades, and given all sorts of promises that they never follow through with, and people are starting finally to notice that, demands that Joe Biden demand Israel to cease fire, withdraw from Gaza, create a two-state system, and all of these other things that aren't feasibly possible. It's not possible for any Israeli administration to do the things that they want Joe Biden to coerce them into doing. I've tried to explain this before. When Hamas crossed the border to take hostages, it forced Netanyahu's hand. I don't think he wanted, actually, this particular engagement, because he's backed into a corner, actually. He has no choice but to go all in. The Israeli people demand it, because it's that part of the world. It's not like what would happen in Belgium or something, where there'd be different factions arguing for different things. It's a hegemonic sort of response, mostly. Go and crush them. Go and destroy Hamas, get the fucking hostages back, no deals, no ceasefire, level Rafah, bomb the shit out of them. This was demanded by a significant cohort of the Israeli population because they feel unsafe. It's sort of like how the United States reacted after 9/11. It was very knee-jerk. Go bomb somebody. Go kill people. We want to see explosions and stuff. And then on CNN, of course, you had Operation Shock and Awe and all of this stuff. And it made for real great TV for a number of weeks because, you didn't have to see the actual dead bodies. All you saw were colorful explosions. And so the American people cheered like it was a 4th of July fucking fireworks celebration. It was a little bit morbid and cultish, but, it is what it is. The administration in Israel was forced to respond. The demands that the Gaza protesters have cannot be fulfilled. He therefore has to, and then the demands of Jewish students in the United States and commentators are also impossible to deliver on. Yeah, you can do the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which is an abomination guaranteed to be struck down by the federal courts anyway. But really, what you're seeing is an argument for the abolition of the First Amendment more than anything else. That's stateside. And as far as Israeli policy, of course, more Zionistic commentators, Christian or Jewish, mostly Christian, that's the irony, are trying to get Biden to non-stop aid Israel, more money, more weapons, ignore the Gazans, ignore their needs, don't send aid, Hamas will take it, basically starve them all to death, let cholera break out and let 1 million people die. Biden can't do either of these things. He is at grave risk with several major Dem-leaning voting blocs. The youth left, which supports Palestine, and the Jewish vote. Jews overwhelmingly vote for the Democratic Party. So if he comes out hard on one side or the other, he alienates several millions of voters that he needs to be reelected. He cannot get reelected without the Dearborn Muslims voting for him. He cannot get reelected if Jewish voters in New York flip the state red. It's logistically impossible. Yes, if he were to alienate Jewish voters enough, he would lose New York State. It's a few 100,000 people in the end now, isn't it? I mean, it's getting closer and closer. At post Lee Zeldin and Scott Pressler's efforts, especially. Hochul didn't get reelected by a very wide margin for a state that blue, or historically that blue. You also have Jewish cohorts in other states as well. Pennsylvania has a beefy Jewish population. I don't think people understand this. Anyway, Biden therefore has to walk a tightrope. He can't really come out hard against or for either side. So he keeps doing this thing where he's like, well, come on, man, we're building a pier off Gaza to increase the aid shipments to the Palestinians. Okay, well, that appeases... Well, the problem is it doesn't appease the Palestinian protesters at all. Hey, man, here's $60 more billion for Israel in military aid. Well, that's not appeasing the Jewish voters. They're concerned about the Palestinian cohort that is in some cases currently throwing rocks at them and shit like that and spray painting the synagogue. What's he supposed to do? I do not envy his situation. The Biden administration is the agent of its own misfortune 9 times out of 10. Biden has wrecked the economy. He's ignored the border crisis for years. When he finally had to acknowledge there was a crisis, he blamed the last guy who hasn't been there for more than 3 years. He finally acknowledges at least that there's a crisis at the border. Not that he has any plans to deal with it, of course. He deflects on crime and pretends that it's disappearing, even though it's clearly not. He ignores the homelessness crisis. He ignores all of the foreign diplomacy problems that we have. Taiwan, Guyana, ECOWAS, Ukraine. He pretty much doesn't even talk about these things other than asking Congress for more and more of taxpayers' money. He's self-inflicted on all of these things. And while I know that he doesn't make many of his own decisions, including the color of his socks on a day-to-day basis, the buck still stops there. You're still the President of the United States. Put on your big boy pants. Yeah, I know that you have to hide the adult diaper inside, but sometimes you can control your bowel movements. You're still an adult. You're still in an elected office. It's still your fucking fault. You can't blame Orange Man for your own policies. Maybe you could do that in the first year in office and people would think it was plausible. He hasn't been in office for 3.5 years. It ain't working anymore, Joe. But that being said, I don't know that Trump would be able to operate under these circumstances. And he's much more strategically sound than Joe Biden. He actually makes his own decisions, sometimes bad ones. I think I'm going to eat McDonald's for breakfast today. Yeah, baby. Suck down a Coca-Cola. I think he switched to Diet Coke, actually. I'm not 100% sure. That's his idea of dieting. I cut out the Coca-Cola calories. I'm still eating these 2 Big Macs here, though. I don't know. I mean, he seems to be in reasonably good health for a person in his late 70s, so I don't know. Maybe I should go on the McDonald's diet. You remember Super Size Me? Yeah, that didn't go over so well. Yeah, I know that Spurlock fudged a few numbers here and there, but it was still a good documentary. Don't fucking fool me. Millennials loved it. It was hilarious at the time. Yeah, especially that dude that only eats McDonald's burgers. And he's thin as fuck. He looks a little bit like Howard Stern, if I remember correctly. Anyway, I don't even know that a significantly more advanced leader with better cognitive skills, rhetorical skills, and more intelligence, more going up here, I don't know that they would be able to walk the tightrope. I mean, I'll put myself in the position. I don't know what I would do with regards to the Israel-Gaza, the protests and diaspora from that conflict, actually, under the circumstances in an election year. I don't know what I would do, actually. I'd have to be like Hillary Clinton and form a focus group. I don't have any ideas. I don't envy him his position currently. It's probably going to sink his re-election bid altogether. Now, Trump has come out. He knows who he's playing up to, and he says, stand with Israel. That's his thing. With Biden, though, it's more like, I stand with Israel, but I also stand with Gaza. I don't like Netanyahu, but I kind of like him. I'm not a fan of Hamas, but the Palestinian PLO is fine. I hear your pleas. There's free speech, and then there's riots and stuff like that. I mean, but the messaging is so wiffle-waffle. And it changes day to day. I mean, Biden's statement in the morning might be countermanded by Blinken's statement in the afternoon. It's happened multiple times before. It's a very confusing scenario. I don't know. I don't know that there's any way to really walk that tightrope for politically strategic reasons. That's about all. Peace out.